Welcome to the Inner Self Confidence Podcast. I'm your host, Katie Delamont. Real talk for women who are done overthinking, freezing, or abandoning themselves. If you are ready to feel calm in your body, trust yourself, and speak up without forcing it, you're in the right place. Because confidence isn't something you perform, it's something you build from the inside out. Let's go. Welcome to episode 39 of the Inner Self Confidence Podcast. The unlived life of parents and how it impacts your children. Today's episode, I want to start with one of my favorite quotes by Carl Jung. The greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of the parents. Let that land for a second. Because I'm not a mom, but I have been a child myself. And I've watched this my entire life. Not just in my own family, but in so many families, especially with women around me. Parents who stopped believing in themselves. Parents who played it safe their entire life. Parents who lived inside the lines of what society told them was normal. And I grew up with two very different examples of this. One parent who lived fully, boldly, and sometimes wildly, my mom, and one who slowly stopped believing in himself, my father. And I can tell you without hesitation, the harder one to watch was not the one who took risks. It is the one who disappeared. Even when I didn't agree with the wild and wonderful mom and all of her choices, at least I know and felt that she was alive and she was living her life. And recently I watched this Netflix documentary with this guy named Alex, who is a free solo climber, which means he climbs really huge things, usually mountains or cliff faces. And his latest Netflix documentary, I forget what it's called, but he climbed a building in Taiwan. He had another documentary a few years ago before he had kids, and he now has two kids since when he was filming this documentary, climbing the building in Taiwan. And I remember seeing comments like, oh, that's so selfish of him now that he has kids. Why and how could he risk his life like that? And what if something happens to him? He has a wife and two kids. That's being irresponsible. But honestly, I couldn't disagree more because I would actually ask a different question. Would I rather see my father die doing something he truly loved, or would I rather watch my father spend his life slowly withering away, not believing in himself, not going after what he was here to do or wants to do? Now, I know what I would choose because I don't believe children just need safety in their lives, or your nervous system doesn't just need safety and calm. It needs to feel what it looks like to be alive. Aliveness is the best nervous system regulator. And in today's conversation, it's all about that. What it really means to live your life, not just for your children, but in front of them. And my guest today is the empowerment coach, Jody Ruston. She calls herself a more than a mom coach, where women go when they are ready to be more than just mom. Her story is incredibly brave and encouraging and empowering in itself. I love her energy, her zest for life, and she still treats herself to a rave a few times a year. I absolutely love it. Let's get right into it. Well, welcome to the podcast, Jody. Thank you so much for coming on.
I'm so excited to be here, Katie.
Yeah, I'm
Thank you.
so excited to have you. And I absolutely love your story. And I love sharing other people's stories with the world of real people doing real life healing in real time. And this inner self-confidence that, you don't need $1 million or an aha Oprah moment in order to like change your life for the better. So I would absolutely love for you to tell my audience more about your story, Jody.
Absolutely. So it started really after a bit of a tearaway teenage few years. I just flipped when I got to college and decided, no, let's get really safe and secure. And I decided to be a teacher. So I trained as a primary school teacher. I taught in primary and special educational schools for about 23 years. And it just became who I was. I was the teacher, and everyone said, "Oh, it's amazing what you do." I work with quite challenging children in SEN school, quite challenging behaviours, and it was very admirable, and it felt really safe, and it became who I was. And then I became a mum. My daughter's now nearly 19, and I did maternity leave and went back to work. That relationship didn't work out. We stayed good friends. There was a supportive co-parent, but I was single parenting for a while, still teaching. And I really felt this pressure. And I don't know who from. I don't know where it came from. But the house had to be spotless and I had to be a good mum and I had to be a wonderful teacher and I had to hold it all together. So I would go to work all day while she was at nursery and then come home, rush out of work, spend some quality time with her and put her to bed and then do all the cleaning and then sit down to do all my planning and marking. And it'd be about 1 morning, I'd go to bed and I literally now I've got no idea how I did it. And I just did. I just did every day proudly. And then I've got two boys after that, and I met their dad, which was obviously lovely at the start. Um, that quite quickly turned into quite a toxic relationship. Um, a lot of emotional abuse there, which I couldn't see at the time. And I got to a point, I was driving to work every morning, just feeling absolutely sick, just feeling sick and questioning myself and not sure I just lost all confidence, and I do work all day and then drive home crying, come home, do the mom thing, then do the cleaning thing, then do the schoolwork thing, and I was just stuck in this rut. And I left that marriage. So I've got three children by this point, and all three have got additional needs. Um, and I left that marriage. I had a total breakdown, and then, as so many of us do, decided to go back and give that another go. And within weeks, it was the same. And then the second time I left, and that was we're divorced now, and that's all gone. And by then, I was the single parent to all three of them, all with additional needs. So I dropped my days, and I was working 3 days. Then my dad got sick, and even though I'm one of four children, it was me doing all the ferrying, all the taxing, all the appointments. One of my children has a lot of appointments, so it was just, and I just didn't know where I was. I didn't know what day I was on. Kept switching my days because to fit in with life. I was never where I was meant to be. I was always a step behind. I had to be at that appointment, but I was at work. And it was just, life wasn't, there was no joy in it. It was just a puzzle. I was just making pieces fit best I could as well. And I used to think I'm doing so well at this. I wore it like a badge of honor and I fitted things in thinking it was amazing rather than thinking, I'm killing myself. I wasn't real with it at all. So one day it kind of dawned on me, not only what am I doing, but what am I showing my children? What kind of
Mm.
life am I showing? This is how we live. This is successful. This is a successful life. I don't think so. So
Can
I
I
just handed my notes.
I just want to ask, when did you have that revelation of like, what am I showing my kids? Like, how old were they when you had that revelation of like, my modeling is actually what they're picking up? Because so many parents, and look, I'm not a parent, but I was a child and I know how we learn. We learn by watching, not by listening. It is not what our parents tell us, it's what they do, we model. And so, when did you have that realization? Like, how old were your kids, you think?
But probably it wasn't a one-off thing. It was little snippets, little dawnings on me. There would have been about four or five, seven and eight, and about 10. And I remember catching myself going, quick, eat up, eat up, eat up, we've got to go. And then meal times became, eat, and I'd catch one of the children saying it, or one of the older ones saying, eat up, you've got to have your breakfast. And I'd go, well, no. And it hit me, they've got that from me. They've learned, I've taught them, we eat like this. We don't sit and enjoy a meal as a family. I've even had eating issues with some of the children as they've grown up, and whether that's autism and sensory issues or whether I'll never know. Is it from me pushing and rushing and shoving and that's heartbreaking. That's heartbreaking. And when you see an older one modeling that to a younger child and
Mm.
knowing that's from me, and we don't live like that now. We don't live like that at all. It's just rushing out the door, grab your shit, and I think they feed off this anxiety, and they absorb it. And I think for a long time, I thought I was cool and collected, and I was. I thought I was amazing for juggling so much that I did, but there's no honor in juggling too much. You know,
Mm.
it's wonderful to think you're a Superman, but you're not. You just you're holding more than a human can manage. We're just humans, we're just human beings.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for putting that out there because, like I said, I'm not a mom and I don't want to shame any woman for doing a lot or trying to do their best and managing. But like you said, there is nothing heroic about carrying and doing too much. And I think our society really, unfortunately, praises it. And it's looked at almost like this goddess quality of like, oh wow, look at them. They can do it all. And it's just like not human and realistic. And, now with obviously all social media and we only see the good side of people and things, it's really distorting our perception of reality. And so I don't know if I cut you off in your story, but you started to notice that
Yeah.
you were modeling things that you didn't like. And then what happened after that?
Just going back to the shame, I don't have any shame in how I behaved then. I just I did the best with what I was doing then. I know that so many mums are doing the best of what they're doing now, and it takes you hitting a point of a tip over point of going what to realise, and it always that you're doing the best with what you've got now, and we can always improve and we can always make life a bit easier. But yeah, it's a crazy time. Where did I get to? So I started noticing I was all like this. And I'd started doing just as a dabble, just as a hobby, really. I joined a network marketing business, and I was selling a bit of makeup and doing lives, and I was having a bit of fun with it. And I got to a point one day, I just handed my notice in. I went to the head teacher and I said, I'm leaving. And I had no plans and I was terrified. And I'd spent 23 years being in this safe, secure position. But I got up one morning and I thought I just felt so sick, I couldn't do it. And I thought, I'm going to make a go of that business. And I kept going and I had a wonderful time online, sharing lives, doing a makeup. And I didn't sell a great deal because I found all I spoke about were these day-to-day issues constantly. I was getting, and these were the women that were coming to me and they were going, yeah, that lipstick's wonderful. But how do you cope with this? How do I get past that? And so for coaching has kind of evolved from teaching to makeup to doing what I am now because I shared so openly and vulnerably through that time. And yeah, so that's how I got to where I am now. It wasn't a conventional route at all. Nothing's been conventional.
I love that. And that to me is the best teacher, the best coaches. It's the lived experience and the vulnerability piece, of course, like that you're not perfect, you're never going to be perfect, but you have that experience behind you. And so what do you actually mean when we hear this term an unlived life to, of a like the episode is the unlived life of a parent? What does that actually mean to you?
I don't think it's a dramatic flip. Like I said, for me, it was just a series of little dawned on moments. And a lot of the ladies I work with, I actually call it death by a thousand paper cuts. It's just
Mm.
chips away, chips away, chips away. And it's not consciously. It's just you stop showing up for yourselves in little tiny ways until one day you can say, oh, I haven't done one thing for me today. Actually, all week. Hang on a minute, it's probably been a month. And I think it often starts with things like, I mean, we talk about self-care and it's more than a bubble bath, but you sometimes think, oh, I'm going to have a lovely bath tonight. And then someone takes a little bit of time and someone needs a lift somewhere and someone's forgotten their homework and then you go, oh, I'll have a quick bath. And then you end up, and your time gets slowly, slowly stolen. And then, oh, I'll just jump in the shower. And then it's all just gone. And you go, tomorrow. It's the postponing, it's the endless postponing
Mm.
of tiny bits taken. And that's because it's not dramatic. That's the cruelest thing. You don't see it happening, it slips away. And I think as well, it's that when you've got a newborn, it's meant to be like that. They're totally dependent on you. And they take up 24 hours of your day, literally day and night. And that's normal. Hate that word, but that's how it's meant to be. Then they start to get older and we still do this. And it's really strange because I don't need it anymore. And it's so damaging because instead of developing that independence, we just take it away. And you end up with a generation of people who can't even make a drink by the age of 18. It's crazy.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. The worst thing we can do, again, I'm not a parent, but I know a lot about child development, and I was a child. But the worst thing you can do for a child is to help them too much. Resilience is a thing, and you only build resilience by messing up and failing and getting, it wrong. And nothing against keeping our children safe. Obviously, that's not the extreme that we're going in. But, we do live in a more privileged world these days. And yeah, I think that resilience piece is challenging for the future generations. Where do you see moms in general, and maybe the ones you only specifically work with, but where do you see, and maybe yourself as well, moms losing themselves the most?
I think it's these, we call it the tween years. So from
Mm.
about 9 or 10 up to teenagers, and then teenagers, and you hit this period of it's grief, really. You're grieving this. So you've had
Mm.
the babies and the children that you needed all the time, and rightly so, to make sure that they're safe and to supervise. And then all of a sudden, they start to want a little bit of space and they're a bit more independent. And it's just like, oh, I'm not needed. And that's okay. That means you've done a good job. It's perfectly normal. But this is where so many mums get lost. And it's just, I was needed so much and I was depended on. And they get all this pleasure from that. And this is why we've forgotten what gives us our own pleasure, because we're getting pleasure from being needed and then we're not needed. And that's why we have to live our own lives all the way through. Even when you've got newborn babies and younger children, find little ways, because otherwise you hit that stage and it can happen overnight. There's an English program, you may not have seen it. It's about Kevin the teenager, and he wakes up on his 13th birthday and suddenly goes, oh. They just start grunting at you, right? And you go, oh. And oh, it throws up so many crazy feelings because you start to feel redundant, and then you start to feel rejected, and then you start to feel, and it's not what it is. It's a sign that you've done a good job, and they're developing exactly as they should do. And that's where people feel so lost, because what do I do now? All I did was serve, and now I'm not needed. And now what do I do? So that's the biggest phase.
That's so, so valid. And it's so humbling. And it's interesting because I remember, I mean, I'm 40 years old, but I know what it was like to be a teenager. It sucked and I was an absolute bitch. I know that through and through. I will admit it. And I even, still have guilt about it. Not a guilt, but I know deep in my bones how I was. So many parents think that they were just great teenagers. I'm like,
Don't exist. There's no such thing.
no. And they just think, oh, but I wasn't that bad. I'm like, maybe you weren't, but maybe you were also just hiding what you actually felt. And so I think that's a very interesting time period because I see so many parents being so unable to relate to their tween kids like rage and anger, resentment. I'm like, you really don't remember that? Like being a teenager was one of the worst times in our lives. Like I'm so confused. We think like high school is the end of everything. Like it's just like the worst time. So I'm glad you talked about that, those years. And
But imagine doing that now. I mean, I'm 46 tomorrow, a bit older than you. I'm so 46. And we're saying that it was hard then, and high school was secondary school over here was difficult. Imagine doing it in a world of social media and perfect bodies and filters. And I don't even know what my children are talking about half the time. They've got it's a new language, and it's terrifying. And I get all these grunts and this rage, and I still catch myself, even knowing what I know, thinking, why are you speaking to me like that? That's not acceptable. And then I think that's because that's where he's at, and that's how they're meant to be speaking to me. And that's it's all about learning boundaries. But it still hurts sometimes. But it's a very typical part of development, and it's a really easy place to get lost in.
yeah, would you say boundaries is probably the biggest not only problem but also solution?
But it's so difficult, isn't it? Do you know, I think a lot of what I do, I speak to majority of my mums, mums of tweens and teens. And it almost verges on parenting coaching because we have to
Mm,
understand this to understand the feelings that it brings up, and
yeah.
all they're doing is learning how to stay safe and survive in an adult world. And the only way they can do that is by having boundaries. And the only way that we can give the boundaries is by upholding them. And it's
Mm,
really difficult. And they're master manipulators. They're so
mm,
clever. And I get tripped up still and go down this road of conversation. And how did we get here? That was the boundary. How have we twisted this? And they're clever at catching me on the hop as well. I'll quite often be doing a couple of things. I might have a podcast on while I'm washing up. Mum, can I? Yeah, yeah, yeah. And why did I just agree to? They're master manipulators. It's terrible. But the boundaries, it does all boil down to a boundary somewhere along the
mm.
line. And
Yeah.
they're good at and they need it. They need it. That's the whole purpose of life. And it's not cruel. It's the
No,
oldest
no.
saying in the book, isn't it? Cruel to be kind, but you have to. They have to learn it.
I agree. Again, I'm not a parent, but I know that the number one job of a child is to test a parent's boundaries, and the number one job of a parent is to follow through and to stick with a boundary. That's your only job. And I really see people, men and women, who struggle with parenting consciously, struggle because they don't know healthy boundaries. They either grew up with walls, the emotional walls, where it was just no, and there was no vulnerability, no softness, or no boundaries. And they were just a doormat, the people pleaser. They could just do whatever. And it's like, there is a safe space and it does change. But yeah, so what do you think common ways that the parents now, if you see this, do you think that they actually project their own unlived life onto their kids? So you know, we talk about you get to that age and you start to be like, hold up, like I'm not living for me. Do you feel like parents sometimes can project that onto their kids?
I think it can go really one way or the other. I think you can
Mhm.
either stay really safe, like I did for a long time, stay really safe, and they learn that we choose safe jobs and we don't go out and do possibly risky things, not as in dangerous, go out and live our lives. So I think they can either follow this and stay safe with you, and you project that. But this is the way to live. Get a job, you go to work every day, and you pay your bills, and you just. But the only issue with that, the biggest issue is it doesn't bring a lot of joy, does it? It doesn't bring
Mm,
a lot of fun. It doesn't bring a lot of life, and we can role model that. Um, or we can do, yeah. That's the flip side of it. We live our lives through them, and we send them all off onto all these different clubs and holidays, and make sure they live in this. And we just need to stop. We just need to stop and say, what is it you want to do, and what is it I want to do? Because it's this unlived life that we're forgetting that we're all equal in this family. We're a family unit. However it is, for me, it was. For a time, it was me and three children. It's now me and a partner and three children. You're all equal in that. And just because
mm,
you created these humans, it doesn't mean they're more important and more valuable than you are. We're all worthy of living a life. And once they've reached past this nappy stage, you can ask them. They're humans. You can say, what is it you like? And you can express that's what I like. And I'm really
mm,
open with my children. I know I'm not doing that today because I'm busy doing this because it makes me happy. And do you know, it's really interesting. I had a conversation with my son a while ago. He's autistic, and he's at the stage in our school now where you choose your it's not career options, but which subjects you want to continue. And we was chatting about what do you want to do when you're older. And I said, do you know what I do? And he just went, he said, happy. I said, oh, I said, happy. He said, you're a happy mum that makes mums happy. And that was the
oh,
best sentence I ever heard. And it was so validating. 'Cause sometimes I think, yeah, I do work hard, and sometimes I'm working later at night. And does it have an impact? And I try my best to be present. But the fact that he has seen, we've come full circle now, that
mm,
we've come from me being broken on the floor when we moved into this house. Now, we didn't even have beds because we just had to flee and leave. So we've come from nothing to him seeing me being happy, and it's a ripple
mm.
effect, isn't it? And it was just wonderful conversation. And he
Yeah,
sees me living my life, and he pursues what makes him happy, and it's just so lovely.
I love that. It's so inspiring. I just believe in human potential and repair. And, our worst chapters can become our, best stories. And really, we grow in the darkness. And Yeah, I love that. So how do you help moms reconnect with themselves? What is there like a process you take them through, or, how do you suggest moms reconnect with themselves, let's say, because they've always been connected, but it's a reconnection.
Well, they do, and this is one of the biggest things that I do. What I've found is that the hardest question that I seem to ask is, "What do you enjoy?" And mums just don't know how to answer that. Or they'll say,
Mm.
"Well, I love playing this game with them, and I love taking the children." No, what do you enjoy? And that's the biggest disconnection that they're an umbrella. It's me and the children, and they start to grow up. So we just have to stop. We just have to stop, and we have to recognise that we are different to the pre-mom version of us. So we are literally different people. Now we're the same person, but we're a different version of ourselves. And I think so many moms we get these little pockets of time as the kids start to grow up. And instead of enjoying them, and we try and do what we used to do as a pre-mom, the pre-mom with the other version of us. And what I used to do before I was a mum, the thought of it now makes me want to curl up in a ball and go to sleep for a week. Um, because it's a different version of me, and we have to get to know ourselves. So we start slowly. We meet where we're at. We think about what we enjoy when we used to enjoy life and before we got on the hamster wheel. And if none of that sounds interesting or fun anymore, we start again and we explore what options there are, what have we seen out there that we enjoy. And it just starts to build self-trust slowly, slowly, one little step at a time. But first of all, we have to accept that we aren't that person anymore.
Mm,
Sometimes say goodbye to her as well, and
yeah,
learn to love the person that we are now.
yeah. I love that. And so is there something that you've reconnected with yourself, or, new hobbies? Obviously, coaching women is a new hobby than teaching coaching. I mean, same,
Yeah.
but is there something in your own life that you've were like, wow, I've never thought I would like that, and now you do it all the time?
Well, I used to go raving as a 18, 19, 20 odd year old, and I've started going again, and I'm probably one of the oldest people in there. I absolutely love it.
Dancing
I
is the
do.
most therapeutic thing. I mean, I'm a dancer myself. Like me and my husband, we go to Burning Man and we met on a dance floor. If I were to think of my favorite time or place in the world, it's me and my husband dancing. Like that is my biggest joy. And so, yeah, dancing. It's not for everybody, but who cares if you go back to a club at 46 years old? Like, dance, enjoy the
It's so
music.
freeing. It's so freeing. Just let go, and just don't care. I just don't care. I don't. It takes me about a week to recover. But that's
Whatever.
fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do two or three of those a year. Um, and some of the simpler things as well. I used to cross stitch, and I've recently as well started Zumba again, and I'm so crap at it. I can't do it at all. I can't do the things in time. And I don't care. I'm watching the man, but I'm moving my body. It's making me feeling good. The energy in a room full of people dancing, you just absorb it all, don't you? It's beautiful. So, yeah, it's a lot of it's physical, practical things that I've learned to enjoy again.
Yeah, I love that you bring that in there because I talk a lot about regulating the nervous system. I mean, that's how you become a more conscious human being and a mom. And a regulated mom is a regulated baby, right? So, but the thing they get stuck on this feeling calm all the time. And I'm like, the easiest and quickest way to regulate your nervous system is through joy, is through movement, is through fun, like play. How much play? Not playing with your kids, because that could be mind sucking, but actual play and joy for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad I love that you go to a rave 3 times a year. That's fucking awesome. Oh,
Got a tattoo. Hardcore till I die. And I used to joke, I need to change that to a P hardcore till I was pregnant because I stopped going for years. But no, that's back in the room again. We regularly do that.
I love it. Let's do it. So, what's one uncomfortable step a parent can take this week to, start reconnecting with themselves while they're raising the kids?
Oh, do you know what? It's going to vary so much between different families, but just prioritizing themselves in one small way. And I think that so many people I speak to, or if someone sees a little bit of my content, they might say, "Oh, so we stop feeding the children then? Oh, so we stop." It's not about not caring about the children. It's about remembering to care for you today. So just choosing themselves in one small way, just a little choice, a little choice. Do you know what? It's a game changer. No, we're watching this program today because I want to watch this. I'd love to hear off people what they're choosing, or you know, whatever the meal is, or what outing you go and do. Just it hasn't always got to revolve around keeping the children happy. And you know what? If we keep our children really, really happy all of the time, what's going to happen to them when they're out of our care and someone else makes them unhappy? They're going to absolutely lose their shit. So just choose yourself above someone else in the family, just in a small way. It could be the food, it could be the TV, it could be which direction you walk in the woods. I've had some huge arguments with my children about turning left instead of turning right in the wood. And I don't care because they don't dictate my life. And that doesn't mean I don't adore them and I want to protect them with every ounce of my soul. But they're not going to dictate my life because they can't dictate the world that they grow up in. They can't do that. So I don't let them do that as little children either.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, when you abandon yourself, your child learns to do the same. And do you find that, do you feel like you kind of modeled what you grew up with? Do you feel like your mom or your parents sort of, forgot to dream, or it was generational, right? Like our parents didn't have as many opportunities and they only knew what they knew. But do you feel like some of that came from your childhood as well?
Absolutely. I grew up sort of learning it's a bit of a slog. We worked really hard. Dad had two or three jobs. He always had at least two, and we just worked and worked and worked. And that was my partly. This is why I'll be a teacher, and this is what. Oh, and as soon as I got pregnant for the first time, I need to go buy a house now. I need to do all these things. Should is such a terrible word. I think it's the worst swear word. Should. There's no should. You shouldn't be doing anything. You should do what feels good,
Mm.
not because you should do anything. And I think there is a massive generational thing. Um, I wouldn't have a clue what my mum dreams of. I've lost my dad now. I wouldn't have a clue what's there because I just don't think they're trained to be that way, and that's what I want to give my children now. I'm living a dream that I hope for over a few years, and it's evolved, and it's still evolving now. And that's all I can hope for them. I'd rather live in a world full of dreamers than a world full of sluggers who are unhappy.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And the quote that I started the podcast on is one of my favorites by Carl Jung. And he says, the greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of the parents. And I honestly could not agree more with that statement. Like, have you seen the guy who free solos, so he doesn't use any straps? He free soloed the big mountain in Yosemite. His name is Alex. He recently just free soloed a building in Taiwan, I think it was, without any straps. And he's done that now, and he has two kids. And I know there would be so many people being like, why would you ever endanger yourself? You have children now. They're gonna, if you die from one little slip, they're gonna have to grow up with no father. Like, so many people would be judging him. And I look at that and I'm like, that's fucking awesome. And we need more dads who are willing to die doing what they love instead of men or women, well, especially women, dying, withering away in a hospital bed, feeling horrible that they never pursued their dreams or what they really wanted in life. Like,
Absolutely. I mean, the most powerful thing that you can model, it's not sacrifice. It's learning to trust yourself. Like I say, we're going to end up with just generations of robots, self-sacrificing, hamster wheel living robots and joy ripples out, doesn't it? Right? And if
mm,
there's no one emanating joy, there's no joy to ripple out. It's the opposite of what we need to be doing. Live your life, and that's what we inherit. Then we inherit this love of joy in life. And that's all I want for my children, to love the life that they live and live a life that they love.
That's it. And would you say, what would you say, or what would change if more parents chose to live fully?
I think they'd feel more joy. They'd feel more joy and they parent more confidently. You
Mm.
know, once I stopped doing what I thought I should be doing and started doing what felt right, and I go, in the family meeting, and everyone comes running. Oh, but I ask their opinions on things, but they also know that their decision won't be final, but I'm interested in what they feel, so they know that it's valued. And I have a vision board and goals and dreams, but no, that isn't just mine. We do that all together and they're learning to dream. And sometimes go, could I put this on the vision board? But I think, I'm not saying it's going to happen this week or this month, but put it on there. It's managing expectations, but also dream big. Why? What's the point in not? What are you going to achieve by not dreaming? If you don't even try, it's never going to happen, isn't it? Sorry, I went off on a vision board thing then. Did I answer your
No, look,
question?
I think that's so. I'm a vision board girl and I put the craziest things on there. And I have manifested some crazy things that I never thought would ever be possible. And I've made them happen. And could I have done it without the vision board? Probably, but there is science behind doing vision boards. And if you have it there, like you have more of that um audacity to go after it because you've got that visual there. So thank you for bringing that up because I totally agree with vision boards and going big. There's that saying like shoot for the moon and if you miss, you
Yeah.
land on the stars or whatever. It's like seriously, like go as big as you possibly can. And the worst that could happen is that it doesn't happen. Like who cares? People are
We've
afraid of
had some
failure,
great,
like it's cancer or something.
we've had some great conversations from it as well. Like my youngest child, he puts, I want to be a professional footballer on. I said, okay, but you're going to have to actually practice football there and get off the old computer and get, and it's just great for conversations. Just
Yeah.
share, just express what you want.
Yeah.
And it's only going to help, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, exactly. It's like break it down into small, achievable goals. So love that you're already coaching the kiddies with the vision boards. Awesome. Well, because this is the Inner Self-Confidence podcast, what does inner self-confidence mean to you?
I think the biggest part of it all to me, it's three words, is just fuck it all, really. I stopped once I shared caring what other people thought and realized the biggest light bulb was that your opinions, they only belong to you. So I just don't care. I go out with different coloured hair, with wearing whatever I fancy. And every day my confidence just grows and grows and grows because just fuck it all. I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered what other people think because it's not any of my business whatsoever.
Yes, it is not your business what other people think of you.
No.
I love that, Jody. Well, thank you again so much for your time. Can you please tell my audience where they can find you and what you have on offer?
I've got a program called the Reclamation, which is where we reclaim our lives. So that's where we start. We've got 5 empowerment pillars, and we learn why we're important, why we're worthy, and a lot of practical advice on how to fit it in. But we have to do that foundational work first to understand that we deserve it and what we offer to the world. And you can find me over on Facebook, just Jody Ruston, or on Instagram, Jody R_66. And I can't wait to meet you.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much, Jody.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Inner Self Confidence podcast. If you want to read my wild ride from mindlessness to mindfulness and my best selling memoir, Trust the Flames, you can grab my book on Amazon or anywhere they sell books, or you can jump on my website, www.katiedelamon.com. There is a link for my book, also a link if you want to work with me one-to-one with coaching, or if you want to do my nervous system regulation reboot program, or how we can potentially work together. I do corporate keynotes, I do corporate wellness. Send me a message, let's link up, or if you are on social media, all of my handles are Katie Delamon. I am the most active on Instagram, but I'd love to connect with you in some way, shape, or form.